This is English shorthand dictation number 107 and the dictation speed is 120 words per minute. Ready? Start. The National Rural Health Mission was launched in the year 2005 by the Honorable Prime Minister, and after it was launched, we wanted to know the effect of the mission on ground. With this end in view, from time to time, the members of the Review Commission visited different parts of the country. The first common review mission, consisting of representatives from the central government, state governments, and other representatives from outside government agencies, visited 3 states. The key findings were that increasing access and improvement in quality reflected increasing utilization of the facilities. There is a very good performance of the NHRM across the states, but the states are lagging behind in utilization of funds and capacities to absorb more funds and deliver better services. But meanwhile, in 2008, when the second Common Review Commission, consisting of 68 representatives, visited another 13 states, the findings of that mission were that there was increase in public health services, increase in outpatients, increase in inpatients, and a sharp increase in institutional deliveries and greater utilization of ancillary services like diagnosis and transport. Madam, what I mean to say is that in the first 2 years, namely in 2007 and in 2008, people were talking about infrastructure. They were talking about human resources, but nobody was talking about drugs, whether drugs were available or the drugs given were the generic ones or the branded ones. It was in the third Common Review Mission in 2009 where 90 representatives from central government and NGOs visited over 17 states and union territories and for the first time found that the thrust of the public was on drugs instead of on equipment, infrastructure of human resource. Most states were sensitive to the availability of drugs. Almost all the states reported improved availability of drugs, and they also wanted that generic drugs should be made available. I do not have much time, but I would like to congratulate the state of Tamil Nadu for having the best system. Very recently, the governments of Haryana, Rajasthan, Assam, and Chhattisgarh have also taken some steps whereby generic drugs will be provided to the common people because it is very difficult for common people to buy branded drugs. Madam Speaker, I would like to draw the attention of the House and of the Union Government to a very sensitive and an important issue of paid news. That means if you give some money to the press or media people, you can create your news, which is being done in our newspapers and TV channel, which is undermining democracy and it is a fraud on Indian people. It has already acquired a menacing proportion as deposed by one of the opposition leaders that it started out as an aberration and went on to become a disease and is now an epidemic. The phenomenon of paid news traces back over many years. The Press Council of India recently did an investigation which revealed that some of the biggest media groups in the country are involved in paid news practices. The report of the Press Council of India also said that the phenomenon of paid news goes beyond the corruption of individual journalists and media companies. The report also said that paid news has become pervasive, structured, and highly organized, and in the process is undermining democracy in India. The report also indicated that the deception or fraud has 3 levels. First, the publication or views of the television program is deceived into believing that what is essentially an advertisement is taken to be as an independent news. Second, by not officially declaring the expenditure by any candidate for a paid news, it is violating the Conduct of Election Rules 1961. Third, by not accounting the money received from candidates, the concerned media company is violating the provisions of the Companies Act 1956 and the Income Tax Act 1961. I would like to make a demand to the government that it should activate the Election Commission of India to take proper action. The Press Council of India and the Government of India must look into this serious matter, as the press and media are being the fourth pillar of democracy. Madam, I want to raise a very important matter and urgent matter before this August House for its consideration. As we are all aware, last year the Union Cabinet had introduced an innovative scheme to waive interest on education loans. The scheme envisages providing full subsidy on interest on loans taken by students belonging to economically weaker sections from the banks under the education loan scheme. This would definitely help a large number of poor students who are availing loans from banks. Now, the bank's authorities are pressurizing students to make interest payment during their course tenure for the loans taken before April 2009, saying they are not eligible for interest subsidy scheme. In fact, it is a violation of policies framed for education loan. After the announcement of interest subsidy on education loans, the parents who are availing education loans did not pay interest on their loans for the last few months. In view of above circumstances, the bank authorities defer to issue next installment of loans to student. This would generate severe situations among banks and students. In such a situation, most of the students would be compelled to break off their education midway due to financial problems. This situation will adversely affect the merit of this notable scheme, and the government should intervene in this issue timely for rescuing the future of lakhs of students in our country. Most of the students belong to poor families and they do not have any source of paying higher rate of interest. For those suffering students, this decision of the UPA government to provide interest subsidy was a relief from their hardships. As everyone is aware, the fee structure and cost of education is not affordable for parents who are living in average living conditions. If this condition continues, lakhs of students from economically weaker sections will lose their future. Therefore, the government should take urgent action to extend the range of interest subsidy to all the students who are availing education loans currently. The government should also ensure immediate distribution of the circular on the subsidy scheme, as it has not reached out to the banks so far. Also, the government should ensure speedy implementation of this decision through apparent orders and instruct the banks via Indian Banks Association. I am very grateful to the honorable member for this question. I must clarify one thing. We have an understanding with the Ministry of Power. I think without that we cannot function. At the same time, I must make it clear to all the members of Parliament that it is basically the state that has to send the projects and also implement the projects. The central government is here only in the capacity of giving them assistance and at the same time providing all the help that the state governments need. Now, as far as remote village electrification is concerned, the Government of India is making efforts to supplement the projects, but we need proposal from the state concerned.